back to the Mookie Chilson channel, and boy, oh boy, have we got a story to tell today. The 2024 National is officially in the books. It's over. My buddy Pete and I drove back 7 hours back to the Garden State yesterday, got home late last night, and like a diver ascending to the surface slowly to avoid the bends, I feel like I'm in a decompression mode still. I'm still readjusting to the atmosphere on Earth after the National, and it has been an incredible experience. The meetups, the pickups, the conversations, the friendship, the camaraderie, off the charts. When I started doing this thing, I was commenting well before I started a channel, and I consider comments a currency, and my investment in other people's channels as an extension of myself, and you hope that that is reciprocated by the people who you're reaching out to via comments and in their live streams and in your videos. And the connection is being made and was made and was affirmed in live living color, meeting the human beings who are behind the channels that I watch and enjoy and comment and have become friends with. So it was wildly gratifying, wildly exciting, wildly tiring. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I want to go through a couple sort of chapters here. I've got some pickups from YouTubers who were so kind to give me a metric ton of stuff that I'm going to go through here. Then I have my personal pickups that I got, the things that I was targeting in the show that I actually brought home, including one real doozy of a card that I hope you will stick around for. And then I'll end with a little slideshow of some images and have some cool stories behind them, so you can see some of the way things went down there in Cleveland. But let's begin. I'm going to start on the right-hand pile. I'm going to go. This is a whole big pile here, and we got a big pile here and a big pile here, and we're going to go through them relatively quickly. I met John Wade Boggs fan who gave me this beautiful card, autographed and inscribed, dated. He and Wade Boggs there on the front. He put a lot of effort into this card, lots of details and amazing statistics, numbered out of 100, 15 of 100. I was happy to pick that up. Thank you, John. My man Drew from Clean Cheap Shots gave me one of his beautiful holders that he created in his wood shop and painted with this beautiful white paint that I will use as a holder maybe here today. But he also gave me a stack of cards that included some really cool modern Darryl Strawberry cards that I think my friend, son of Mookie, and I will enjoy together. But he also ended the drama with my question from before the National: will there be pinhole cards at the National? And Drew gave me these 3 1956 Topps cards. Of course, Ray Boone, whose son, Bob Boone, was an Angel and a Philly, I believe. His sons, Aaron and Brett, were ball players, and Aaron is now the manager of the Yankees. And so this is a wildly cool card. It's got some awesome pinholes in it. It's got some very cool tape residue. And on the back, it has been in an album. Look at that. It's slathered with glue and pressed into somebody's pages. And so they love this card. I love this card. And so this will go up on the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame. Steve Bilko here. We got a first baseman Chicago Cubs who lost some, there's some paper loss there and a little writing on it, but we love this too. Steve Bilko, and of course, my man Roger Craig of the Brooklyn Dodgers, who was, of course, an original 1962 Met, pitched the first game in the history of the Mets and lost. He lost 24 games in 1962, but that didn't matter to this kid in 1956, who was gluing and pinholing and loving this card. And so now I love it too, thanks to Drew, who also gave me this incredible 1987 Topps Rack Pack. That is my first ever, as Drew called it, bullet hole card. Look at that big, something happened there. It reminds me of the No Country for Old Men guy who brought around the thing that they used to kill cattle, and I wonder if that's what happened out there in Nebraska from our old favorite card farmer. So thank you to Drew. It was really cool hanging out with you all weekend long or all week long. My buddy Joe from Force Off Corners gave me a big old stack of Mets cards. Joe is so generous. Always a nice Grandy man, a gold Grandy man. We got Wilmer Flores, who was the Met who was traded mid-game and cried out of his position in shortstop. One of the most sympathetic moments in baseball history. Before the Mets would end up keeping him, the trade fell through, so he cried for nothing. We got Eric Goodell, Jason Bay, Strawberry Sticker. I had this as a kid. R.A. Dickey, Cy Young Award winner, knuckleballer for the Mets. Another Dickey. Tom Terrific and a Gypsy Queen. There's a brand new Met. Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil, Bartolo Colon, who hit a bomb as a Met. Tommy Seaver, the flashback. And then these are actual, what are these, 1976 victory leaders and ERA leader, Legrand Orange, and King Kong. There we go. So thank you to Drew from Clean Cheap Shots. It was awesome to hang out with this week. My buddy Mike, the vintage composer, gave me this card, a nice Pacific Pride. There's Tom and Nolan with their own sets of cards, opening boxes, ripping wax with each other. He gave me his business card and a signed vintage composer, Robin Yount, 1990 top. So cool. In addition to this great baseball digest, The Many Faces of Tom Seaver. And no, to answer this question, Bobby Grich will not be the Orioles' next superstar, but that's okay. He was a good ball player. We don't need him to be a superstar. Anyway, thank you to Mike, the vintage composer, who had a few major pickups of his own. Darren from Return to Collecting. I got to meet Darren for the first time, and what a guy. We had breakfast, he and my buddy Pete and Greg from Midlife Cards and Midlife Dad. And Darren had breakfast at IHOP one morning. And Darren has just a great way about him, great stories to tell. And my favorite thing about Darren this weekend, in addition to the incredible cards he picked up, was the story of Darren on the Wednesday of the National, dropping everything that he was doing to go get Orlando from the airport, whose flight had been delayed. It sort of, took Orlando out of commission for that Wednesday. But Darren hung in there like a freaking champ and was super impressive. Like, what a high character guy Darren is, to hang in there and put his own collecting on hold so he could go get everybody's favorite guy, Orlando, from the airport. Kudos to Darren. Thank you for this card, which is 2 of 5. Thank you. And I'm not giving it up, so don't ask. I met Eddie from Eddie's Cardboard Chaos, and this was his cool art card of Ricky Henderson that he made. Eddie was super fun to hang out with multiple nights. I saw him a fair amount, and just a great guy to talk to and a great guy to hang out with. And I love Eddie, and I love his channel, and I really appreciate this card, so thank you for that. Rocket Rick, J18, I accosted him in the middle of an aisle while he was looking at his beautiful vintage cards. This is his. And I made him give me this card. I said, I never got one of your cards. And so he stopped and opened it up. And the dealer, who was at the table, got all crabby with us and asked us to get out of the way. And, so Rick and I badmouthed the dealer a little bit. So it was great to meet Rocket Rick, who gave me 2 of his custom cards, and a wonderful guy, and wonderful to meet him. How about Victor, the rookie card specialist? He's a guy that I love because he's trying to bring order to the chaos of the hobby, and I appreciate and applaud him for doing that. He's got a book out on the history of the rookie card, and so it was good to shake his hand and meet him at the National. Everybody's got QR codes. QR code yourself all the way out there. You got the card mentions, Danny Black and John Newman. Here they are, the dual signature. It was great to meet them at the YouTube Hangout. These are 2 guys whose live stream I love to participate in and chat in. They have great senses of humor and let me misbehave all the time and sometimes poke some fun. But both stand-up guys, it was great to shake their hands and have little chats with them. super guys, and super cool to meet them, and thank you for that card. This was on the table at the YouTube Hangout. Jason, the everyday card collector, I stole this. I didn't ask, and I don't care. Thank you for the sticker, Jason. It was great to meet you and shake your hand. You have just an outstanding channel, and you're an outstanding guy, and it was great to hang out with you at your house a little bit too as well. I met the High Pop Professor, who is of course Iconic Al's brother, Brian, and he was good enough to give me not only one of his cards, which is autographed and numbered, which was really cool, but he also gave me this Mookie Wilson 1992 Fleer card, which he had just pulled from a pack the day before with his brother, and he thought of me. So, High Pop Professor, you are all aces in my book. One half of the brothers duo, getting it done. And I can't wait to see what you picked up in Cleveland on your next video. I got to meet Warren D from CLE, who put this sucker in my hand. This is a stamped envelope with the Mets and Mickey on it. Super cool. He wasn't done giving me stuff. He gave me this pop-out, stand-up, I think this is Donruss, 1987, a Darryl Strawberry at the Astrodome All-Star card. And he gave me this, which I had not had, and I really wanted, and I'm super glad that he did. This is a Kiwanis, a sort of oddball set of Mets from 1985, Kiwanis Police set. Here's Darryl Strawberry. These are all spring training photos. There's Keith, George Foster, and Bill Robinson, the first base coach, Davey, and the catcher, Gary Carter, of course. Of course, you got Dwight Gooden, this is basically a rookie card for one of the rookie cards for Dwight Gooden. A really cool sort of impromptu pose there from Dr. K on the bench. And of course, what's cooler than Mookie under the brim of his cap looking down the dugout. And I love this card. Number 1, Mookie Wilson. So thank you so much to Warren. It was great to meet you. What a great guy. And I hope to talk to you many more times in the future. At the YouTube Hangout, I also got to meet one of the best content creators there is out there. And he's a newbie, but you would never guess it by what he puts out. Is Rob, the baseball time traveler, and his videos, we all know, are just epic sagas and just so compelling and so well done. He told me that he doesn't write scripts for any of them, which blew my mind. But we had a nice conversation. It was really thrilling to meet him. And he handed me this 1974 Topps. This is Willie Mays' last card. And of course, he was a Met, and this is the World Series that the Mets lost. But that's okay. It was Willie's swan song in Major League Baseball. And Rob gave it to me, and I couldn't have been more pleased. What a great guy. What a great channel. What a great gift. And so thank you, Rob. It was a treat to meet you. My buddy Dylan, who I have spoken with and talked to many, many times over the year or so, put this in my hand. One of his customs, of course, him surfing, crushing it out there in those tasty waves there out in Hawaii. I got a sticker from Dylan and a coaster from Dylan, and I got a slab from Dylan. This is a 1986 Topps Tiffany Mets Leaders. And it says on the flip, gift for Mookie 2024 National. A 9 mint, meticulously graded, dated on the upper right part of the flip. Look at that rosy red back and pink. I just love it. Dylan, what a treat to meet you in person. You are an all-star and a killer, and I really appreciate it, and I hope you know that. I got to meet Iconic Al. Now, Iconic Al was an inspiration for me in getting my first big pickup before the National. And so to meet him was just an absolute treat. And here he is. He gave me one of his T205 cards. And as you can see there on the upper right-hand corner, it is inscribed number 41 out of 300. 41, of course, is my man Tom Seaver. Iconic knows what he's doing. And if you look even more closely, you can see at the tippy top there, above second base on the card, is a pinhole. So Iconic Al with the first custom pinhole card in Mookie Chilson World Headquarters history. not to be outdone by the iconic Al rookie card, numbered out of 500, which somehow must have fallen on attack. Or maybe it was tacked up in Iconic's lair, and he took it down for me. So I'm super jazzed to put these up on the Pinhole Holy Grail Wall of Fame. He also gave me this. This is a great little credit card holder for the back of your phone. He gave me a beautiful Mookie Wilson 92 score, and he gave me a beautiful 92 Fleer Ultra Mookie Blaylock, which I told him was the original name of Pearl Jam, was Mookie Blaylock, the Atlanta Hawks card, which is pretty cool. So he gave me 2 Mookies and a Tom from the Hostess set. Super cool. Really nice. I guess this is 1977. Beautiful card, and I appreciate that from Iconic. Sticker action, shiny, matte finish sticker. I like them both. And to finish it off with a little sorbet of 1991 Bowman gum that actually got cracked. It was complete. I think I mishandled this, so don't get on me, Al, but I'll eat it nonetheless at some point. So thank you to Iconic. It was a treat to meet you. You're just a gentleman and a scholar, and I look forward to many more good times in the future. And speaking of which, the next pickup from a fellow YouTuber here came in the form of vending machine pickups. Actually, Scott just gave me these 2. These are 2 newer cards, the Campy and the Bryce Harper, 2 beautiful designs. In addition to this Don Mossy card, the left-handed picture. So this is the Don Mossy Muppet / puppet. Can we call it a Muppet, or is that copyright protected? XOXO Don. Scott's, of course, wife, who I actually got to meet and is just a wonderful person, and really cool and very nice to talk to, and is a total genius artist like Scott. She made this puppet, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of this guy in the future. So thank you to that. But I also went into the vending machine at the YouTube Hangout. Scott brought his vending machine, and I brought quarters for his vending machine to get all the cards I could out of it. And of course, I left them at my Airbnb. But Scott was good enough to make change for me. And I plunked quarters into the sleeve that had the Larry Doby. I was going for the Larry Doby. And of course, I didn't quite get him right away. But undeterred, I kept going. I got the Christy Mathewson, which is beautiful. I got the Al Kaline, black and white, which I think may be a parallel, which is beautiful. I got a Roger Maris, which is beautiful. Look at that. I got a Hank Aaron, which I think is another parallel, which is beautiful. I was super psyched about that. Jackie Robinson, super cool, but not quite the one I was looking for until finally, ding, I hit it. And I made a big noise and a yelp at the YouTube Hangout. I had no chill. What are you going to do? I mean, imagine, that vending machine. I think we all pulled cards out of those as kids, but when you get a Scott Reindeer Studios original of your guy Larry Doby, you don't keep your chill. Scott wasn't done with the gifts, though. However, Scott gave me this killer magazine page, full-size magazine page advertisement, and that is my guy Tom Seaver in the slick back hair and the DuPont Dacron outfit, full-on polyester clothing, permapress shirts. I don't know what year this is. I want to say probably 1975 or 6, something like that. But the killer part about this is it's Sears, the men's store, and it is signed by the man himself, Tom Terrific. And Scott put this in my hand, and I couldn't believe it. It is so cool. What an artifact of a time gone by, signed by the man himself. So thank you to Scott. But he was not done. Scott gave me this. Now this is a 1965 Masanori Murakami and Dick Estelle Rookie Stars card. This is Masanori Murakami is, of course, the first ever Japanese ball player to pitch in the major leagues. He is a trailblazing hero to many, and he actually made his debut at Chase Stadium in 1964 with the Giants against the Mets. And I have this card, and I think Scott knows I have this card. But what I never had and did not have until Scott put it in my hands, and I will remove my thumb, is a Masanori Murakami pinhole card. Can you see that? So just think about it. And I actually got a little emotional when I was talking to Scott about this, and I'm starting to feel it now. If you're a little Japanese American kid, or just any kid, and you get this card and you know this guy is the first ever Japanese ball player, maybe he's your hero for being a trailblazer, what are you going to do? Well, you want to keep that up on your wall. It's important to you. Now, maybe it was just a San Francisco Giants fan who loved Dick Castell, but the importance of Murakami cannot be overstated, and I think that the kid who had this probably understood that and decided they were going to pin this to their wall. And so this is like inner circle, pinhole, Holy Grail Wall of Fame stuff from Scott Reindeer Studios. Just, I am blown away by it. I was blown away by Scott all week. His hospitality, his care, his kindness. Meeting his wife was fantastic. We took many of his recommendations from his video and followed through on them, and they were all picture perfect and outstanding. I couldn't have asked for a better time with my buddy Scott, and when I say buddy, I mean best friend, of course. So thank you for that to Scott. Now that's where I'm going to leave it for now with the YouTuber friends and pickups. There were a million more people I met along the way who were so great to meet and talk to, and too many to think of, and I'm still in that decompression chamber. But I want to go over some of my pickups here that include this guy. This is a 1931 Will's Cigarettes Walt Disney rookie card featured with Mickey Mouse. This was the first pickup on the first day of the National, and it was awesome. I love this card. I had this on my list. I found it raw at a table. Scott was with me, and I sort of saw it right out of the corner of my eye, went straight to it and asked the guy what he was asking for. I think he said 175, and I asked him if he could do any better, and he said 160, and I quickly said yes and took it home. So there I am with the artist, Scott Reindeer Studios, picking up another genius artist, Walt Disney, with Mickey Mouse on it. I mean, to me, the stars aligned. There I was in Cleveland. By the way, this is me holding the card in the car on the way back to the Airbnb after day one. My buddy Pete is driving. We were stuck in redonkulous traffic. You can see the taillights there. In fact, the traffic was so bad that when I saw standing outside a couple lanes away, I saw Dr. James Beckett, the hobby icon, Mount Rushmore genius of the hobby. And I said to Pete, I think I'm going to get out and go talk to him. And he said, are you kidding me? I said, yeah, you're not going to move. I'm going to get out and go talk to him. Because I had been commenting on his videos and commenting on live streams when he has been on them. And he's mentioned me a couple times. I think I've sort of connected with him in different ways. And I've emailed him a couple times, and we have a little bit of a thing going back and forth. And so I really wanted to meet him at the National. I thought I'd meet him at the YouTube Hangout the next night. But there he was, standing on the street next to the traffic, probably waiting for his Uber. And I went and I seized the day. I carped the diem. And I went out there and talked to Dr. Beckett and had a great conversation, introduced myself and as Mookie Chilson. And he said, oh, it's great to meet you, and shook my hand. And it was one of those moments that was like just extremely gratifying to have. And so I thank you to Pete for letting me out of the car. In fact, when I turned back around, Pete had moved about 10 feet. So I hopped back in the car and we kept going. Anyway, that was my first pickup from the first day. Oh, wait. I want to show you one more pickup from a friend that I got at on day one. This is a 1947 to 50, to 65 Larry Doby exhibit card. Now, this is a beautiful card. This is something that I have had my eye on and planned on purchasing, but it was put in my hand by a very special guy. This was given to me by Greg from Midlife Cards' dad, the coach. I call him the coach. He was a longtime basketball coach, and he's still coaching through his example at card shows as we speak. And so the coach gave me this. When did he give me this? We were playing cornhole at the big frat house party over on, what was it, Bush Street? It was the house of Theo and Pastor Craig and Adam and Chris from Missouri. They were all there. And Theo had been talking all kinds of trash about cornhole, like, Mookie, I'm going to kill you at cornhole. You got nothing. People from New Jersey, do you ever play cornhole? I mean, Theo just really has a trash talking game. And so when we got there, my buddy Greg from Midlife Cards and I teamed up. He went on one side, Theo was on my side, and it was Theo and Darren versus Mookie and Greg. And we skunked him in the first game. It was pitch black out. We had to start a car to have lights on. We beat him in game one. And Theo was clearly reeling and sort of took it really hard. And we ended up, Greg and I, defending our title against, who do we play next? It was John 3D80's Kid and Jason, the Everyday Card Collector. And I didn't feel great about it. These are two wonderful people who I really enjoyed meeting and talking to and hanging out with, but we schooled them too. It was, I mean, Greg and I just were on a roll. We were rolling with my buddy Pete sitting there watching these idiots play cornhole in the dark. And of course, Theo wanted another taste. He wanted another shot at the champs. And he recruited Jason, the Everyday Card Collector, to be his new teammate. And frankly, they started out hot. They got rolling. They were doing really well. And I had to, I'll be honest with you, I didn't tell Greg this, but there was a little concern in my mind that we were going to cede the title to this trash-talking guy who just was real, I mean, the typical sort of cornhole movie villain, I would say. And out of nowhere, who do I see coming out the back door? The screen door opens and slams shut, and I hear, Mookie, I got something for you. And it's the coach, Coach Miller. Right at the pivotal moment when we needed him the most, he says, I got you this. And it was this Larry Doby exhibit card. And I said, Coach, this is incredible. Thank you for thinking of me. This is beautiful. I love Larry Doby. I love these exhibit cards. This is just exactly a perfect gift. It's just exactly what we needed. I gave him a big hug. And I said, and this is going to be now the wind beneath our wings. This is how you fuel a comeback. This is the can of spinach that Popeye cracks open and chugs in order to come back and beat the bad guys in the end. Take on the big Brutus in this case. You know who that is in this story. I'm not going to say it because he's sensitive. And so what happens? Midlife Cards and Mookie Chilson go on a run. They come out of nowhere, start draining cornholes, and we came back and won. And Coach Miller was the wind beneath our wings with this Larry Doby card. Like I said, my can of spinach. And I can't believe we won. Anyway, that was the last friend gift I'm going to go through for tonight. Anyway, back to the pickups here. We got this card, which is a T206 Fred Merkle card. This is just a card I had wanted. I was looking for this card, and speaking of the devil, Theo and Pete and I were going from T206 dealer to T206 dealer, ask them if they had Merkles. And Theo, I have to say, was a very aggressive asker and agent. He was, we were making all kinds of Merkles boner jokes as we walked around the floor. And Theo would go up to the dealers, this guy's looking for Merkle. You got a Merkle? They were all out. Everybody said they didn't have a Merkle card because somebody who was related to Fred Merkle was walking around the convention buying up all of the Fred Merkle cards, which was kind of strange. But I was behind her. She was beating me to all these tables. But luckily, I had spotted this one raw in a stack of cards way back by the chapel table, and I knew it was there, and so I was looking for a nice low-grade graded version, but I found this instead raw. It has clearly been altered in some way over here. Maybe it was cut poorly. Originally, I don't know. I'm not going to ask questions, but I wanted a Merkle card, and so I got it, and it is a sweet cap. And my first real T206 card. I have a couple of tobacco cards, but this is it. So you all know Merkle's Boner Store. I won't bore you with it, so thank you to Theo. I also picked up this little beauty. This is a 1954 Dandy Potato Chips Larry Doby. It's a beautifully centered and really well conditioned for what these are card. It's got a wrinkle underneath the price sticker, which is a little suspicious from the dealer's standpoint, but it's beautiful and I love it. I love the colors. I love the blue background, Larry's smile, his eyes. It's just a gorgeous card for these Dandy Potato Chips. And I actually took it out of I'm going to take it out of the case right now and show you. The gloss on these cards is really like waxy because obviously it was distributed in potato chip bags. And this one is fairly clean. If not for that wrinkle, it would probably do well. In fact, I meant to drop this off at the grading, but you can see some speckles of oil stains there. I meant to drop this off at grading, and I did not. I blew that. I forgot. It was lost in a pile, but I'm super glad to have this. This will get slabbed at some point so it can go onto a shelf in the museum. So that was super cool. Another really cool pickup that I got, which I'm really excited about and was on my list for the National, is I'm going to take this out a little bit. There we have it. It is a 1965 TV film idler, The Beatles with Cassius Clay. This is one of two versions of this card. There's another horizontal version. But this is George Harrison and Paul McCartney sort of mockingly challenging the greatest of all time, Cassius Clay, who would eventually become Muhammad Ali, to a fight. And I love the shocking magenta shirt that Muhammad Ali is wearing. I love that you see their faces of playful reaction, and you can't see his. You see him from behind. It's just an awesome card. I think it's Dutch originally, and I don't care that it's off center. This is one where my buddy Pete and I were standing next to each other, and they had it in a lower grade. It was probably a little bit better centered, but it had a crease or something, and Pete gave me the, he nudged me. He said, just take the 3. It's a little bit nicer. And so I paid up a little bit for the 3. And I'm super happy with that. I mean, does it get better? Are there any more two iconic figures on a trading card than Muhammad Ali and the Beatles together? I mean, I defy you to tell me who that could be. Anyway, so that's that. I'll put that in Drew's stand. I'll use the Drew's stand over here. And then that brings us to the last big pickup from the National. Actually, I should just mention that, by the way, I know this is a super long video, but what are you going to do? Hold on a second. Before we get to the final big pickup of the day, of the week, I just want to remind you, because I can't stop thinking about this pickup. This was my intended big goal at the National that I ended up purchasing on eBay a few weeks before the National because the opportunity arose and I could not pass it up. My best wishes, Jackie Robinson. It's a BGS 9 autograph grade, and it is, to me, just a remarkable and awesome recording of Jackie's own hand wishing best wishes. And again, this I got at a really good price, and I confirmed that walking around the National and seeing all of the other Jackie autos, that I don't think I saw anyone that I liked better than this, and I know I didn't see any one that was anywhere near as value, as good a value as what I got here. So let me just say that. So I'm super psyched and proud and happy to have this. So that's why I didn't have any major money, big dollar pickups there. And I'm going to use the Drew of Vintage Sanctuaries card holder here that he gave me for free. Although I did buy a foursome of them and give them to my buddy Pete. So he's going to use those. And I'll probably have to buy another foursome from the Drew when I get a hold of him. But there was another sort of a co-grail that I was interested in at the National that I did end up picking up. And I'm going to hold my thumb over the grade on this because I don't think it matters. And I'm going to show you this card, and this is what I picked up here. This is a 1967 Rookie Stars Bill Dennehy Tom Seaver rookie. And it's just gorgeous. It is so vibrant. It is so well centered. And it is not without its flaws, but it is my copy. And it came home from the National with me. Thanks to my buddy Pete for helping me find it. And I'm in love with this card. I think it's just gorgeous and beautiful and the perfect card for my collection. And one of the reasons it's perfect for my collection is because of one of the issues with the card. Well, I'll show you the grade. It's a 3. And it's a 3 because there is a crease over here and there's some corner damage. None of the corners are perfectly sharp. This corner is a little bumped, but I don't care. This is just such, it has eye appeal, off the charts eye appeal as far as I'm concerned. And so I'm super psyched to have it. And one of the reasons I'm super psyched to have it is because it's in an SGC holder. And there's an injustice here that I want to bring to light. Tom Seaver is the only name on there. And I kept going around showing this card off after I got it the day at the National to different YouTubers who know that I like to do my Mookie Minutes. And I did a real-life, in-person Mookie Minute for them, which has to do with why Bill Dennehy deserves recognition on that flip. Bill Dennehy was a Mets prospect, just like Tom Seaver. There they are on the card together. They were sort of seen as sort of peer prospects back in 1967. And the Mets wanted to get Gil Hodges as their manager. And the Washington Senators, who had Gil Hodges under contract, were asking for Tom Seaver, one of the 2 top prospects. And the Mets said, no, how about Bill Dennehy instead? Now, Bill Dennehy was, again, a stud prospect, but the Mets knew he had a rotator cuff issue. And they didn't tell the Washington Senators. They said, how about Bill Dennehy instead? And the Senators said, okay, we'll take that killer prospect. Bill Dennehy would get traded for Gil Hodges. It was the first ever manager traded for a player in Major League history. And so he's historic in that sense. He's also historic for being the participant in the trade that would bring Gil Hodges to the Mets, the man who, along with this man, would create a miracle in Flushing, Queens with the Miracle Mets in 1969 and take them to the World's Championship and bring that trophy home for National League fans who were starved for a winner. So I think SGC needs to get their act together and do something about it and change this flip. And I'm going to lobby them to change this flip because Bill Dennehy and all the other players who are on these cards deserve recognition. You know, Jerry Koosman isn't even named on the Nolan Ryan 1968 card. The PSA flips have them, but the SGC holders don't. So something needs to be done about that. Anyway, and that's the Mookie Man. I made so many eyes glaze over in person. It was wonderful to see the people lose lose their attention span as I rambled on in person. But anyway, I firmly believe everything I just said. And so there we have it. I'm going to take the Beatles out and put Tom Terrific in. And so there you have it. Your starting lineup. You got the Beatles, Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, and Tom Seaver. An iconic collection and grouping of cards and players from the National. Just like all of the friends and experiences that I had with all these people at the National. What a freaking trip. Like I said, it started off with my buddy Pete and I getting in the car and leaving New Jersey way too early. Thank you to Pete for enduring my ongoing requests. But the drive out was freaking fantastic and allowed me a chance to reconnect with my buddy Pete in a 7-hour trip and listen to music and talk about baseball and hang out in a way we haven't since college. We also got to, I'm going to show you another slideshow pic here. There were people I met at the National who included this guy. Does anybody know who Frank the Tank is? I knew this guy way before he was internet famous. I'll tell you that story in person one day. But Frank the Tank was there at the National. Like I said, I got to meet many of my friends who I've made online here. That include Theo, who was there overseeing Adam, who was inspecting a Babe Ruth card for Matt from the Card Story. And Matt did not end up getting this card, maybe because of Adam's advice, maybe because the card was a little too inexpensive. I don't know. I'd love to know how Matt ended up and where I know he had a goal on the last day that I saw him, and that was for that Babe Ruth, so we'll see how that went. But it was great to meet these guys and hang out with all of them. I got to witness one of the great trades, deals, wasn't a trade, with these two guys, my buddy Pete and Coach Miller. Midlife Dad made an epic deal for that Mickey mantle that Coach is holding. Pete brought it to sell. Coach and Greg came over to our Airbnb and sat down and looked through Pete's case. Pete had that card. The Coach had been saving for a card like that. And Greg and I got to watch as those two negotiated over it. It was extremely gentlemanly. It was extremely fun. And it was totally epic. And maybe one of the highlights of the whole thing was watching my buddy Pete and Greg's dad, Coach Miller, do this deal. It also makes me think, by the way, again, the specialness of the Coach coming along with Greg for this voyage. What an epic situation that was, to have your father along for the ride, and Coach got to see all the fans of midlife Greg come up to him and tell him how much they appreciate them. I know the Coach appreciated that. It's the kind of thing, how many of us would love to have had their dads with them at this National? And Greg got to do that, and I got to be a witness to it. In addition to this killer deal, and the Coach now has that killer mantle, which he will show you, I'm sure, at some time. So congratulations to him on that. What else do we have here? And there is me, and I'll show you me and my buddy Greg from Midlife Cards. There we are, enjoying a beer after Greg landed his killer 1954 Topps Ernie Banks rookie card. I came up to Ashish Jai's table, and the deal was in doubt. It wasn't clear whether or not Greg was going to make the deal. But I showed up, and when he looked around and he looked at all of his friends who were standing there, and he said, "You know what? I think this is perfect. I'm going to do it." And we all cheered. It was like I said, "We should carry you off on our shoulders. This is incredible." We couldn't believe that we were there for the history, midlife history. Greg got his grail, and it was just an epic moment, and I was so happy to share that with Greg, and so many other great times with Greg. what a truly awesome experience. And then there was leaving the National. I had brought my Larry Doby, where is it? I gotta find it now. My Larry Doby autograph there that I was gonna get signed, not signed, slabbed and authenticated either in PSA or CGC or Beckett or something. I had brought it there, but I decided not to get it slabbed. But while I was at the SGC table, I left the Larry Doby autograph. Where is it? I can't find it now. I have to find it. I don't see it anywhere. Anyway, the point is, I found it back at the SGC table. They had it there, and they put it in a little. Well, they kept it in the case, but they put Larry Doby left at the table on it, and so there you have it. I'm not sure that's a good story, but that's going to be the end of the story. That's a wrap. That's it for the National 2024. What a wild and incredible experience. I will never forget. Thank you all for enduring this epically long video, but I felt like I needed to get a lot of this off my chest. Thank you to Greg. Thank you to Pete. Thank you to all of you for embracing me and letting me be a part of this world and this community. I truly felt the love and the appreciation, and I couldn't be happier with how all of this has turned out. So thank you. I'm going to stop before I start blubbering, and we'll keep going and keep doing it. Thanks again. Have a great night. Thank you.